Welcome back. We're doing the 11.4 notes. It is all about adding and subtracting rational expressions. So recall that rational means a fraction. So we have a polynomial on the top and a polynomial on the bottom of a fraction. Thinking back, like way back to when you started learning adding and subtracting fractions, the one thing that all of the fractions absolutely must have is a common denominator. So rational expressions, because they are fractions, also need a common denominator. Okay, that was not necessary in the problems that we did for multiplying and dividing. So only adding and subtracting, we need common denominators. Now, subtracting is a lot more difficult than adding, so we really want to change the problem so that it becomes adding. We can do that the same way that we did problems back when it was just like a polynomial minus another polynomial. Really, all we have to do is take that subtraction and then change every single sign in the second polynomial. Okay, so we are going to distribute the negative. To the top only of the second fraction. Okay, so this negative in example number 2 will get distributed to the positive 7x and to the negative 12. And when we do that, that minus is going to switch to a plus sign. Okay, all answers need to be in simplest form. So after we add or subtract, whichever one that is, and of course you keep the common denominator when you add or subtract, you need to make sure that you factor the numerator if possible, also factor the denominator if possible, and then cancel, which is that cross out, like we did back in 11.3, and rewrite as the simplified version. Okay, please recall that when you cross out and simplify, you are not allowed to just cross out x's that are within sets of parentheses. So consider this 3x minus 8. This is technically one set of parentheses on top and one set of parentheses on the bottom. So we cannot just like cross out those x's there and there. Okay, they have to be whole factors in order to cross out. All right, let's practice a couple examples that already have common denominators. Like example 1 here. The first denominator is 2x plus 5. The second denominator is also 2x plus 5. We are adding, so that means that all we're doing is combining together like terms for the numerators. Okay. So our denominator is still 2x plus 5. Whatever was common, you keep it. Okay, 3x plus negative 10x, which is the same thing as 3x minus 10x, is negative 7x. And then combining our constants, we have negative 8 plus negative 7, same thing as negative 8 minus 7, which is negative 15. Okay, there is no way to factor out a greatest common factor or use the shortcut trinomial method. There's no difference of squares in that numerator. There is no matching set of parentheses on top and bottom. So example 1 is as simple as it gets. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. Number 2, we again have common denominators already. The difference is in this problem that we have subtraction in the middle. So we are going to take that minus and change it to a plus and distribute a negative 1 times both of those terms there. Okay. So this problem becomes x squared minus 2x plus 5 over 3x minus 4, so that has not changed, plus a negative 7x plus 12 over, and the 3x minus 4 does not change. Okay, so this sign and the sign of both terms in the numerator have changed. Okay, let's add now, just like we did before. So we're combining like terms all the way across both numerators, keeping the same denominator. All right, x squared, there's no other like term with it, so bring it down. Negative 2x minus 7x is negative 9x. And our last terms, 5 plus 12 is 17. Okay, that numerator, we could try and do the shortcut for trinomials, but 17's factors are 1 and 17, And no matter if they're negative or positive or anything, they're not going to add up to -9. So we are done with this problem as well. Example 3. So the answer is 2 over x minus 6. But notice that those denominators are not x minus 6. There's some more stuff down there in the denominators. Well, the denominators match, so we can at least go ahead and add these things together. So let's try it. X squared minus x minus 30, keeping that denominator. Add the numerators, 7x minus 5x is 2x. Negative 12 plus 22 is positive 10. We need an x minus 6 to be the only thing left in that denominator. So let's try that third bullet point up there. It said that the answers need to be in the simplest form, so let's try factoring and see if we can cross something out. So in that numerator, we can factor out a 2 as the greatest common factor, and we're left with x plus 5. In the denominator, this is a shortcut quadratic trinomial because it starts with an x squared, so it's going to be x. Our middle term is negative, so our big number is negative. Last number is negative, so that means our signs are different. So we already have a negative. This one has to be positive. Looks like positive 5 and negative 6 are the numbers that add up to -1 and multiply to -30. And now look here. We have an x plus 5 and an x plus 5 on top and bottom that match. So they can cross out, and all we're left with is a 2 and an x minus 6. Stay tuned for the next video, 11.4b, and we'll do the bottom half of this sheet.